Hello, and welcome to So Good We Named It. I'm Barry,
And this is Kay.
and welcome to the very first Golden Girls and Golden Palace podcast. And to my knowledge, the only Golden Girls or Golden Palace podcast with black hosts. Yeah, how about that? So we're gonna start off with some questions that we had from a previous thread. We answered quite a few, so thank you to those that participated. But we had a few
Thank you.
latecomers, and I wanted to make sure you got to be in the mix for this one. So
Better late than pregnant.
very true. The first one is from Amy, who has a verified badge. So let me see
Oh, hey,
what Amy
Amy.
does. I wish I was verified. I would pay for that. Is that sad? I just feel like it makes
Yes.
you so important. Looks like Amy is a health writer. Maybe you can give me some tips. Okay, so Amy said, for next time, if Sophia and her siblings were raised in Sicily, why is Uncle Angelo the only one with an Italian accent? And so I guess no one in the family ever met Mrs. Angelo. Also, did Aunt Angela move to Miami or did she go back to her goat in Italy? Okay, thoughts about any of this before I dive
That's
in?
57 questions in one. You got to start back at the beginning.
Okay, so if Sophia and her siblings were raised in Sicily, why is Uncle Angelo the only one with an Italian accent?
Isn't that because he stayed in Sicily for a while?
Yeah, I think that people do tend to lose their accents when they come to a new country, and she'd been in America since
Hmm.
what, 1912 or whatever.
Yeah.
Beautiful young olive skinned girl. It's kind of odd though that she would abandon her whole family at such a young age. Usually people come with their entire family when they immigrate like that, especially back then. But
Mm.
Angela still lived in Sicily. Although I forgot she lived there for like 40 years in New York and
Hmm.
then she moved back. So maybe, I guess, if you lose it, you just lose it for life. Because I feel like she has more of Sophia anyway, and maybe Angela have more of a Brooklyn like accent. So maybe they just outgrew it.
Yeah.
Because
I know from
anybody,
personal experience, you could lose your accent, but when you go back, it goes back.
I feel like when I would stay in Mississippi for a couple of weeks, I would come home with a little southern twang sometimes.
Hmm.
So I would love to see how Rose talks when she gets to St. Olaf. Although Blanche kept her accent, even though it was phony, like on Designing Women, according to Sophia. But and where was Dorothy's New York accent?
Right. Unavailable.
Yeah, I guess. And anybody that came from St. Olaf that was not one of Rose's relatives, they always had that accent like Bobby's mom from Bobby's Swirl, with the Ojigali don't you know? Or like Ingrid had that, Rose, is that you? Nice
Yeah.
talking to you. Or they have like a really thick like accent like the lean mean Swedish machine, and there's like no
Sin.
variation. But that is a very astute observation that Angelo would still have it, I guess, because he was there so long. And again, they just make the immigration process seem so easily. Oh, you want to move to America, Angelo? Come on. No
Right.
papers, no nothing. Magda was going to stay there too. Like, are these people there illegally? She got Mario deported, but she's letting everybody else just come
Mario.
on in. Let's see.
Not deported.
I mean, it was her fault. She just
I
had to
know.
go and put that fucking what did he write? It was like a paper of what America means to him. She just had to have it published or something. Doing too much.
Hmm. Doing too
Shit.
much.
Oh, I promise you, I'll get you back here, and we never hear nothing else. She
And
ruined his
didn't and never
whole
heard from him.
fucking life and just went on about her business. God damn
Mario.
it. Teach. Let's see.
Mhm.
So I guess no one ever met Mrs. Angela. Was he married? Because I thought that I know that he was pretending to be a priest, but I don't remember him saying he was married.
I don't remember him saying he was married. We talking about Sophia's brother.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
And
Unless, do you think his wife died?
I don't. I guess I should rewatch that episode. I have to go back. I'll get back to you all on a future
Mm,
episode. But
okay.
it's interesting that whenever she would speak to him, she wouldn't talk about Angela and vice versa, and then she'd be like, "Oh, we're the
Mm.
only ones from the original family left." So I think personally that shit.
You got the COVID.
Yeah, The
Got the
ghost of
Rona.
Angelo doesn't want me telling his business. He recently died. He lived pretty. I mean, he wasn't as old as he was playing, but he had a Twitter, and I
He
feel like
wasn't. He looked like he was.
yeah, he was. He did look good, but
He looked it
I feel
terrible.
like
Terrible.
he died not that long ago because I was researching. But
Mm.
I feel like Angelo and Angela might have had different fathers, and maybe that they were Sophia's half siblings, so they were not each other's siblings. So maybe that's why
What?
they. Okay, look. So don't look at me like that.
What?
So okay, check this out.
How are they
So
not each other's siblings? If what? What?
okay, so if I don't remember Sophia's father's name, so let's just say Mr. Sophia. So Mr. Sophia married Sophia's mom, and he had. Wait, that would still make that Angela's sibling.
Okay, make it make sense. Cause what?
Okay, so maybe her mom had Angela, and her father had had Angelo.
But if they share a parent, they're still siblings.
Right. So don't make me sound stupid. This makes sense. So Sophia's father is not Angela's father, and Angela's mother is not Angelo's mother. But
But they share a parent.
okay, no, they don't. Wait,
I'm
no.
not doing this with you.
Okay, look. So one of my sisters has
Uh-huh.
siblings that are not my siblings because those are her father's kids from not to put my mother's business out, but when she was married before she married my father, he went on to have kids after they were no longer married. So those are my sister's
Mm-hmm.
siblings, but they're not my siblings. But my sister and I share a mother. So same thing with them. See, it makes sense.
Okay. Okay.
See,
Thank you for the breakdown. Cause
so that's where we
all
are.
right,
I'm glad we took this time to go through my family tree.
genealogy. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
my 23 and me. So she said, did Aunt Angela move to Miami? So that's a good question because they made it seem like she moved to Miami. But then we, again, never hear from her again because
hmm
Nancy Walker went on to star in yet another of her failed sitcoms. Great actress, but she could never get her own vehicle, much like Ellen Cleghorn. But I digress.
Damn. All
So
right.
she was on a show, if I'm not mistaken, it was one of the many spin-offs of All in the Family, which All in the Family is what gave us Maude, which,
Mm-hmm.
got Rue and Beat together. But they had a modern remake where it was a black family living there, and I believe she was
Mm-hmm.
on that. And it was on Fox and didn't last very long. So she could have come back. But I just hate that they
Mm-hmm.
didn't ever bring her up again. Like we had to see Rebecca a million times. She's not the most fascinating
Rebecca.
person in Oreo,
All right.
but we couldn't see Angela.
Mm-hmm.
Like Angela was pretty fucking hilarious.
I like
It
them
was like
together.
two Sophias. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so thank you for that, Amy. That caused this deep dive. But I'm gonna say that
Right.
she did stay there, and maybe she just died. So moving on.
Damn.
I just feel like that's the only explanation. I mean, they kill Rose's mother without explanation just one day. Oh, where's Ma? Oh, in the cemetery in St. Olaf. And she's like,
mm.
my Ma. And then on Golden Palace, spoiler alert, she talks about how she put her in a home. So anyway, the next question
Mm.
comes from Card Trader by Day, Carl Mahoney. That sounds like a name from TV.
Mahoney. Is he Italian?
I don't know. Is
The
Mahoney
Mahoney's.
an
It was
Italian
on
name?
How to Get Away with Murder. The
Oh,
Mahonies were after
I don't
Laurel.
remember that. I guess maybe I
Oh,
do.
really?
So much
The
happened.
Mahoney.
So like,
Yeah.
yeah. Now
Okay.
that you keep saying it, now
It's
I
fine.
feel
They
like
were
I
after
remember it.
Laurel. Shout out to
Um,
Viola Davis if you're
yeah,
listening.
if you like to be a guest sometime. So how is Rose's daughter intelligent and going to Oxford and Rose is well Rose? How is Michael not even 30 when we first meet him, yet Dorothy and Stan were married 38 years, divorced at least a couple, and then she's roomies with the girls a couple years after that. So first question, um, I do think that it's odd that nobody in Rose's family is dumb. However,
hmm
I don't remember who said it. Somebody was talking about St. Olaf. I think it was the episode, the Mother's Day episode. Yeah, where she meets the lady who also plays the woman that says, Sophia, I want you to be there when I kill myself. and and
What'd
she's
she say?
another one of my classic impressions. You'll hear so many of these, everyone. And she's like, Sophia, I want you to be there when I kill myself. And then she just goes on about talking about I had asparagus and holiday sauce. And you do you like this ring? I bought it on time. Uh, there aren't gonna be any more Mondays. But seeing a lot of Mr. Wallbanger today, aren't you? But I just feel like, damn, she was on here twice, and both times doing some depressing ass shit. First, your daughter's
Okay.
dead, and you gotta escape the nursing home to go visit her grave on Mother's Day.
Oh
And then
God.
you want to kill yourself because you're so lonely. And she's like, oh, I hear the silence. Turn on the TV. Shit.
Okay, or something. Radio.
Go check into a retirement facility that has, like a resort like stuff with activities
Yeah,
and
like you on vacation.
on a sidebar, when I was
Mm.
a youngster, I was probably like 19, 20. I had a friend who had a great aunt that lived in a nursing home. And she and her friends, they were like the Golden Girls. They were crazy. They'd be cussing and cutting up, and we would go and hang out with
Oh.
them. And I took some pictures with them and put them on Facebook. And another friend of mine was like, why do you have pictures with my aunt? How do you know her? What is this? And it turns out that
Cause
my
we're friends, girl.
that
We
one of
hanging
my
out.
that the girl who I was friends with, I was going there with, her aunt was friends with this girl's aunt. What a small world.
Mm.
I wonder if any of them are
Mm.
still alive. Probably not.
Mm.
R.I.P. to
Damn.
them. I mean, that was a long
This
time
is not
ago.
one of those episodes.
That was like over 10 years ago, and they were pretty old then, so
Um,
probably not. Shout out to Aunt
oh
Sally and
my.
Aunt Lil. Good
Hey,
times.
Aunt Sally and Leo. What a time to be alive.
Assuming they are.
Oh
R.I.P.
Jesus. What's the rest of the question?
Um, not to sidebar. If y'all are listening and you're alive, hit me up. I would love to hear from y'all. We will go over there so much and have such a good
Okay.
time.
Let's go have some
I mean, they
margaritas.
could be alive. People live to be 100. Did you know there's 97,000 people in Chicago that can't be right, that are 100? That's not right.
That don't sound.
Yeah, maybe
Mm-mm.
that's, maybe.
Get some receipts.
I don't
Get some
know, because there's
receipts.
millions of people in Chicago. Let me see. Because I looked it up the other
Get some
day.
receipts.
Because my mother's friend is about to be 100. She has a lot of old friends. And I was like, oh, we should get her on the news. And she's like, that's not that remarkable being 100. I'm like, is it not? I don't know anybody
Yeah,
that's.
yes, it
It
is.
seems like a
They
lot to
live
me.
through a whole lot of stuff.
But I guess
I
she
would
was
want to have
saying
like
that
an
there's
interview with them.
so many of them that they wouldn't be like, oh, let's get her on the news. How
But are
many
they all in
people
their right
are
mind?
100 years old in Chicago?
Yeah, just ask Siri right now.
Let's see what she
You
said.
couldn't type that in.
Um, where did I get that number?
You couldn't Google it. Oh.
I don't know if it's in Illinois or in the country, but there's 97,000 of them somewhere. So that's a lot to me. I'm going to live to be 100. That's my goal, at least. So if you're
Okay.
still here, I'll take you on vacation for free. You going to remember I said that?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Me?
All my friends.
Yeah, I remember that.
At that point, shit, what's the little credit card debt? But
Okay.
I got this
Yep.
trip on time. But I didn't even know what that meant when she said it. I was like, what you mean on time? Like you only got a little bit of time to pay it off? But apparently that's equivalent to credit. Just the old person way of saying it.
I'm gonna start saying that.
Like, oh, I got this on time. I mean, hell, if you know you're about to kill yourself, why not?
Jesus.
And again, someone else we never see again after Sophia made all these big promises. Oh, you can come over and I'll come over here.
Mm.
Dust. But anyway, we got a little sidetracked
Yeah.
here.
All right, we're sorry.
We do that a lot. Back to the question at hand. What was the question? We were talking about Rose's kids. And we sidebarred into this.
It was about why were the rest of her
Yeah, her kids were
smarter-
smart.
why were
Like
all of her
like
kids smarter than
Oxford,
she
that's
was?
pretty fucking impressive.
Pretty impressive.
Oh, I know why I started talking about it. Because the lady at the train station said that it's not that everybody in St. Olaf is stupid. They just have more idiots per capita. So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. Was she the idiot?
Plus, Rose was adopted, and her biological father was not dumb because he wasn't from St. Olaf. He just was passing through. So maybe they get their genes from him.
What their grandfather? This would be.
Yes, Rose's father was the
I'm
monk.
following. Yeah, he was.
So maybe that's where they get their brains.
Was her mother dumb?
I believe so. I believe they kind of referenced that. But
Okay, that makes sense then.
but Bridget is smart, but we don't know nothing about Kirsten like that to know her intelligence level. We just know she's a bitch. Mother, I'm
She not
so
on.
ashamed of you.
She's intelligent,
But
right? She's not on Rose's level. You know,
she wasn't
Rose was
smart enough
bless her heart.
to know that her father was horrible with money.
But how you supposed to know that as a child? You know what
Dorothy
I'm
knew that
saying?
Sal was.
But they had a different relationship, I feel like, than what
Yeah,
than what Rose and her kids had.
Spumoni face. Yeah, Rose does seem
Yeah.
like she's one of those keeping up appearances people. Like we don't want everybody to know what's really
Mhm.
going on. But I also
Mhm.
think that Adam could have been stupid. We never saw him, and we never
No,
saw
never heard from him.
Ganilla. And with a name like Ganilla,
Ganilla.
no offense to anyone named Ganilla listening to this, but I don't know. Is it Janella? But it sounded. I feel like she said
Gorgonzola.
Ganilla, and Ganilla just
Gorgonzola.
sounds very Ganilla. And then Charlie Jr., who there's still debate on if that's another son of hers or if she was just referring to Charlene, her granddaughter, who also goes by Charlie. But the jury's still out. But
Mhm.
maybe half of them are stupid. And let's see, how is Michael not even 30? So I tried to think about that because I was like, well, maybe Kate was the first one, and Kate was in her 40s, and they had Michael way later. However, that's very unlikely. And I don't know why they felt like they had to make him so young. Like, why couldn't he just be in his 30s? Because hell, Blanche had a 14-year
Right.
old grandson. So I feel like
Mhm.
they did mention before, like, oh, in the flashbacks or stuff, they'd be like, oh, the kids. So clearly he was alive at that point. So I don't know.
Mhm.
Like I know that back then since there was no streaming and stuff like that, it was hard to keep track of that as a viewer. So maybe they just didn't care. But most shows, at least now anyway,
Mhm.
have a Bible where they're like, okay, what facts about this person so we don't mess it up.
Right. What do we
And some
say?
of the stuff they said was just
Mhm.
so careless. Like, damn, like you don't remember what you said and that's not what the case is or whatever. Like,
Right.
did you just not care? Seems lazy.
Who was
Um,
writing? Do you know it was this was written in what, like the late 80s, early 90s? Maybe they were on that stuff.
Maybe so. Maybe Mark Cherry or
They
Mark
was
Sorkin
hiding
can
a
come on
writing
the
room.
show and Susan Harris. I mean, like me with my YouTube videos, plug it, Barrett TV since 2007. I know nobody is keeping track like that, but I still keep up storylines and stuff from, 10 years ago. I'm like, oh, I don't want them to think don't care. Not that anyone's watching anyway, but, just as an artist, I like to have some consistency. So if I do a flashback,
Yes.
Moose Blueberry gonna have on her little short bob wig because that's the hair she used to have. But
That's the
the Golden
flashback
Girls don't
hair.
care about that. Whenever they did a flashback, they looked exactly the same,
Exactly
even
the
though
same.
Blanche would change her
Except when
haircut.
they did Young Dorothy. I like Young
Well,
Dorothy
that
when they
yeah,
had
but like
flashbacks with that.
Blanche going to the nursing home to see her mother, and she looked the
Hmm.
same she did in that episode, same hair and everything. Like, damn, y'all could do anything. But what else did you say? Well, you said okay, so they were married 38 years, but the girls were only living together for like a year before the show started. And then it's implied that they moved in together right after Stan and Dorothy broke up. So I would say that, would have been 40 years at that point, which Kate, she looked okay for 40, I guess. The first one did. The second
They,
one, she looked 40. Um,
they, yeah, yeah. But 40 looks different on different nationalities.
True. And that was a different time. I feel like people dressed a lot older.
Yeah, because you ever seen like 90s sitcoms where they had 30-year-olds, and I'm 30, and I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
look,
they look
we don't
old as
dress
fuck.
like that.
Like a
With
living
like Dockers
single.
on, like what y'all
Big ass
wearing?
power
Like that's
suits.
not.
Zoot suits. So maybe that's what
Zoot
aged
suit,
her. But thank you
perhaps.
for that question, which has taken
Thank
us 20
you.
minutes to answer.
So sorry.
So, I don't know if we got time, but I wanted to go down the list and
Hmm.
discuss the girls' kids. So we pretty much, already went over Rose's kids. We don't know much about her sons. It's interesting that the
Hmm.
only son we ever meet on Golden Girls is Michael. We don't meet any of Blanche's sons,
Hmm.
Rose's sons, or Sophia's
Skippy.
son. And we don't meet Skippy till Golden Palace, but I just think it's interesting that they
Right.
only explored mother-daughter relationships. Because we wouldn't even meet any of the girls' brothers either, except for
No.
Angelo and Clayton. But
Clayton,
spoiler
my
alert,
baby
I won't
brother
say
Clayton.
who, but there's another brother that appears from one of the girls on Golden Palace that we never heard about.
Mm.
But it would have been nice to meet Phil or to meet one of Rose's brothers. She had a
I would
million
have
of them.
loved to meet Phil, the cross dresser.
I mean, I guess with some characters, it's more fun to have them never seen, like Karen's husband Stan on Will and Grace. But I would have
Mm.
liked to have seen like Bruce Valanche or something play him, or what's that guy's name
Mm.
from Mrs. Doubtfire, the one that was the hairdresser, Harvey Firestein. Yeah,
There we go.
he would have been good as Phil, but I guess the way they talked him up, they just felt like they could never show
Mm.
him. I hate
They
that they
couldn't fill
killed
his
him. That
shoes.
seemed unnecessary to kill
Hmm.
Sophia's son. I don't know why they
Who
did
can
that.
wait? He ain't die.
Phil did die.
How did Phil die?
He
Phil
died.
ain't die.
There's a whole episode where they have his funeral.
Oh, she was crying. My baby's
Yeah,
gone.
I guess it didn't leave much of a lasting
Mm.
impression.
I remember. I'm
um,
sorry. Sorry.
they couldn't think of a better name than
Oh, they
Angela
hate
when they
me.
already had an Angela. Like I feel like they reuse the same names all the time. Like at
They kept it in the family.
the murder mystery, the siblings were named Gloria and Philip, and then
Mm. Iconic names. Iconic.
there's multiple Davids, there's multiple Dennises because Dennis
Mm.
was Mother Dorothy's son-in-law, and I believe that was Janet's husband's name. And then David was her grandson, and David was the name of George's illegitimate son.
Mm.
Just a little fun fact. But yeah, I would have liked to meet more of Rose's siblings. And the sister that was blind, they wanted Lucille Ball to play that role, which would have been interesting since she's
Oh,
known
that would have
for
been really nice.
comedy. And I'm surprised she was never on the show because she was friends with B and with Betty.
That
Um,
would have been
she could have
nice.
got an Emmy off of that. But
Hmm.
I like Lucy. No, honey, I love Lucy. Well, I don't know how I feel about it. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Um,
I love
so,
Lucy.
um, and again, her siblings were not dumb at all. They were interesting pairs. Like the sister that was sleeping with everybody, not everybody, the Blanche's boyfriend. She was weird. She didn't really seem like that was her sister. I can more so buy
Mm-mm.
Lily. And then we never saw anybody else again after the first couple seasons. And then it's so not common for us to see recurring characters on the show that I was shocked that we saw Clayton more than once. And then I
Mm.
was shocked that we saw Virginia again. She was also very
Virginia.
underwhelming. Um,
Underwhelming very much.
Charmaine, I liked Charmaine. She was a little more feisty.
Spunky. Spunky.
But I guess we were supposed to be talking about their kids, not their siblings.
Oh,
Um,
I digress.
yeah, whoops.
Picture it.
So, Sophia's kids. Gloria, she was an a-hole. The first time she was a little show offy. We talked about her before, so I'm not gonna stay on it too much. But she was a little show offy.
Mm-hmm.
The second time trying to sleep with your sister's ex-husband, trash. And then Phil,
Mm.
we didn't know much about him, but he didn't seem like much of a provider since he was always asking for money. I guess he spent all his money on negligees. And then, why was his funeral in Miami anyway? Um, but
Cause I don't know.
we'll just ignore that text message sound. I guess I should have muted my phone. So unprofessional. And then Blanche's kids, Janet. Again, I feel like didn't we talk about this already?
We did briefly,
Oh, okay.
or in depth, because we go off on tangents.
Who knows? Well, we're gonna talk about it again. I just didn't like Janet in the way that she treated Blanche. I know that Blanche
Mm-hmm.
probably did. Maybe I tweeted this. It's hard to remember, but I feel like Blanche probably was not the best mother, and I don't want to invalidate Janet's feelings because if you have
Mm-hmm.
a poor parent or a parent with poor parenting skills, I should say, then that
Mm-hmm.
definitely fucks you up. And I get that, and she has the right to feel how she feels, but I can't imagine Blanche did anything bad enough to warrant the response that Janet gives her of, telling her she doesn't want to talk to her when she calls her. Like, that's fucking rude.
I don't know. I can't. I don't. Blanche doesn't seem very motherly, like nurturing. She doesn't seem very, motherly.
I mean, she's not, and she has the most kids out of anybody, maybe because she was doing the most fucking.
Yeah,
But I just feel
probably.
like, is it that bad? Because then when we finally do meet Janet, she's fine. She has no
Mm-hmm.
issues with her. But up until then, she had to beg her to let her come visit her and all that. Just a lot of sad ass shit. And then her four sons that
Mm,
we never meet except for Skippy and Golden Palace. I would have liked to have seen her relationships with them because I feel like Blanche would
yeah.
be one of those moms that almost acts like they want to date their sons because I see a lot of that. Like, oh, my little king, my prince, oh, he's man of the house. And it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I feel like you see that more now because of social media. But I feel like she could be one of those, especially if Biff was buff. I can see her just squeezing on his muscles. Oh, look how handsome my son is. Not
Ew. Yuck.
appropriate. I want to know how
Inappropriate.
she was able to have all of these kids and
Who
they
has four?
all
Four?
are what?
That's four kids.
Well, she says, take one of my sons. I have four of them. And then
And the
she has
daughter that's
Janet,
five.
and then she has Rebecca. So, as young as she
Oh, that's
was,
six
for them to
kids.
all be grown and out of the house by the time the show started, and Blanche was like 50, like, when did she
It's
start having
possible.
kids? And again, I feel
It's
like we had this
possible.
conversation, so if we did, sorry, but it's hard to remember what we talk about sometimes. I'm going to try to keep better track because we don't stay on
We
topic.
don't have to explain to our loyal fans. They want to hear everything that we have to say,
True,
right?
true,
Right?
they
As
do.
the hate mail comes in. Continue on.
And on a side note, that guy that messaged me about the politics, I saw him under enough Wickers posts telling them the same thing, and they were like, "Well, you can listen to another podcast." And he went off, and I'm like, "Well, you
Oh,
can. Like, how you gonna try to
you
police
can.
everybody's shit?" So then when I responded, I was like, "Oh, is this just what you do? You police everybody?" And he blocked me, and then he unblocked me to tell
Damn.
me that our podcast was terrible anyway, and then blocked me again. And then I saw him on other people, like in the Golden Girls, Twitterverse, on their posts doing the same
Hmm.
thing. So you literally just look for Golden Girls posts to tell people not to talk about
To
politics.
antagonize us.
And I just feel like number one, it's our shit and we can do what we want. And number two, how can you call yourself a fan of the show when you don't like politics when that's pretty, prevalent in the show throughout? They talk about politics a
Hmm.
lot. They have whole episodes, Bush came and visited. So what are you talking about?
Hmm.
But I think they're speaking from a place of privilege because some people don't have to worry about politics because they're always going to be the ones benefiting out of from everything. So who cares? But as a person
Hmm.
in multiple marginalized groups, I have no choice but to care about politics because my livelihood is at stake. Fun fact for you listeners, we went and got our marriage license today. And the last
Woo.
relationship that I was in before this one, we could not even
Not me
legally
and Barrett.
get married.
Do we
Oh,
disclose
yeah,
that it's
not me
not
and you. We're not
right?
married. I got married to a
No.
man. But
Yeah.
I could not legally get married in my last relationship. And that was not that long ago. I'm
Hmm.
not that old. So yeah, politics do
Hmm.
fucking matter, bitch. But anyway,
Oh.
going how
We're
you
sorry.
doing?
This might come off a little aggressive this evening.
That's
We
just at him.
apologize.
He knows who he is.
Okay.
But
Cool.
anyway, moving on back to Blanche's
I
kids.
digress. Yeah, we digress.
How does she have, unless they were back to back to back, Irish twins, where you have one right after the other one. So I guess it's not impossible, but
We're like
technically
two or
kind of
3 years
close.
apart.
But let's say she started having them when she was 20 and they're all gone by the time she's 50. I mean, I guess
They'll be 30, right?
if she had the last one at 26, then I guess they'd be out of the house. I don't know. I suppose. But then
Yeah.
I'm like, well, damn, when did she have David? Unless she was a teen mother or something. I don't know. Maybe she was 20 as well. Maybe Janet was the oldest. I'm going to make out a family
Perhaps.
tree for everybody.
Okay, let's do that.
And then Dorothy's
We'll post it
kids,
on Twitter.
again, assholes. But I just feel like for them to all be such, great women, they were not great mothers. None of them really were, except for not even Sophia, because she was always dragging Dorothy.
She was every day just dragging her.
So I just feel like they lacked in the mothering department. I mean, a few 22 minutes with them and their child over the span of a lifetime. Pardon me. A lot of hiccups and
I
stuff.
think Dorothy was a better mother to Sophia, even though that's her
Yeah.
mother. I think she mothered her better than Sophia may have
I
parented
mean, I
her.
don't have any kids, but I feel like some people, they don't make the best decisions with their kids or that they would make otherwise because it's their kid. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
Dorothy is way firmer with everyone else except for her own
Mm-hmm.
children. Because Kate kind of gives me the energy that she would, stop talking to her if she did something she didn't like. Because she always be like, Mother, this is my life.
Mm-hmm.
And, their kids would always be so quick. Anybody really that visited, but I feel like especially their kids, I'm packing, I'm leaving, I'll be gone in the morning. Like anytime any of them came, something would happen. And okay, well, I'll be leaving now. Like, damn, I can't imagine going to visit my mother or something. And I just, she says a lot of stuff I don't
Mm-hmm.
like that I'm going to be like, all right, I'm
Mm-hmm.
packing my bags immediately. No discussion necessary. I'm headed to the airport. But Kay had to mute herself so she could yell at her kids.
I'm available.
Okay.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm here. I was present.
I didn't want them to be like, damn, why he just talking to himself?
I
But
was saying, uh-huh. Uh-huh.
hmm but we're on Zoom this time, guys. We're not in person. It was a big snowstorm today, a lot going on. But I feel like this is sufficient too.
Hmm. I
Um,
think so too.
because you live too far. But
I don't live that far.
eh, I feel like Rose let her children walk all over her. And they just got to do and say whatever the hell they wanted because she's a softie, which I don't think
Enough
is.
Wicker liked our Twitter post. Sorry.
Shout out to Enough Wicker.
And
Hopefully you're
Pumpkin Spice
listening.
Daddy. I don't know who that is, but Enough Wicker liked our Twitter post.
Shout out to Pumpkin Spice Daddy, who I think might be in Chicago. So feel free to come by sometime and co-host. But as far as Rose's sons, I feel like they probably would be better behaved than her daughters. I just imagine them taking after their
Mm-hmm.
father. Because even though Charlie was horrible with money, he seemed like a really good stand-up guy, and I just feel like Rose would have
Mm-hmm.
like the most like stand-up, you know. I don't know if I want to say all American boys because that's not really the good thing now. Maybe it never was,
Mm-mm.
but I
Because
just
he's
think
the
of
only one that didn't cheat, right?
yeah. So that already puts him ahead of
Rose and him are the only two that never
yeah.
cheated on their spouses.
So I just picture, I don't know, I just picture her sons as being like Richie Cunningham, like just the perfect son, which is why she never
Mm-hmm.
talked about him because they were so perfect. They weren't giving her grief. But even with
Mm-mm.
like, I feel like Kirsten was the only one that had an issue. But I feel like when Bridget came, it wasn't really that big of a deal because they were doing each other's. No, that was Blanche and her daughter doing each other's hair. But they went on a picnic and did all this other stuff.
Mm.
So I feel like they had a pretty decent relationship. But again, you're coming to your mother's house and you're gonna have sex with a stranger, your mother's friend's child, in your mother's other friend's bed. Like, damn, get a motel.
Yeah, they was on some wild shit.
Disrespectful. I would never.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-mm.
but yeah, I think we've covered that. Hopefully, there's not a third episode of us talking about it if we did already talk about it. But I just wanted to briefly discuss everybody's kids and give my takes because I feel like nobody really likes any of the girls' kids, which is weird because we
Not
love the
really.
girls, but we don't like their kids.
Not
I
really.
mean, Rebecca 2.0 was all right, but
Rebecca.
I think we talked about them because people were asking who was our favorite between the
Yeah,
different actors.
between the
So we
two.
didn't like necessarily
Mm-hmm.
break down the characters. We just talked about the specific actors. But I think what I said then, which still stands, is they all suck either way because the characters suck. It's not necessarily the acting, it's just the characters are shitty. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
in any other show, typically the kids or whatever would have more of a personality, but all of the kids except for Becky 2.0 were just kind of bland because even the original Becky,
Mm-hmm.
she just kind of was delivering a lot of her lines like she, didn't want to be there, which maybe that was, I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that's a slight on the actress. I think that's just the energy she was giving with that character because she was so beaten down by Jeremy that she was just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Um, and I
Right. Jeremy,
and I do want to mention
be serious.
Jeremy. That line was so awkward when she was like, Jeremy, you didn't say anything about my new outfit. That's not very nice. Like, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
is that something somebody would say anyway? Because that's
I mean, you
weird.
would want your husband to compliment
But
you
would
on
you
your new
say it
outfit.
like that?
Nah, maybe she wanted somebody to say something to Jeremy rude ass.
But knowing how he treats her, were you really expecting a compliment? Like, I don't know what you thought was
No,
going to
but I'm
happen.
saying maybe she wanted somebody else to point it out.
Oh, I mean, it wasn't that nice of an outfit. It was kind of potato sackish. It was just
Oh,
brown
Jesus.
and plain, but it was okay. And I think I will say that they did a good
Jeremy.
job dressing her because even in
Yeah,
2022, if you see a plus size actress, a lot of times they'll have her in, just
some bullshit.
yeah. And they actually had her looking cute. Like she had jeans and a t-shirt and a jean jacket. Of course, Sophia was shocked they found jeans that size. But me too, because back then there was not a lot of,
Oh my God.
stuff out there for bigger people. Because even now, again, it's hard to find. So I like that they had her in jeans and not just here wear this sack. Even though the brown outfit,
Potato sack.
that was more so sackish to me because of the color. Because it was just brown on brown, a brown sweater and a long brown skirt. But anyway, we're not going to hold you and ramble on unnecessarily. But we
We
do
won't.
want to thank you for listening. And we hope that someone out there decides to enter this contest, golden
Okay.
giveaway, because we have some good prizes. And I don't know if you're afraid to give us your address or something, but go ahead and go ahead and enter so that we
Enter to
can give you
win.
some
Yeah.
stuff. We got some really exciting prizes. I know in one of the other shows I said tell everybody to watch our show. It's not really anything to watch, but tell everybody to listen.
Mhm.
And let us know if there's some technical difficulties because the recent episode, I'm going to maybe take it down and put it back up again. Apple was messing up and it's like on there twice, and then on YouTube the sound was
Thrice.
turned down. So let me know because I'm new at this. I
Mhm.
won't be offended. Tell me like, hey, this sounds fucked up so I can fix it because we want it to be good
Okay.
quality for you all. We want you to, really enjoy it. So thank you so much for
Yeah.
listening. So tune in next time so we can find out why Miles is literally the fucking worst.
Yeah.
All right. Well, take care, everybody, and thank you for being a friend.
You said my line.
I know. Damn. Go ahead, say it.
Thank you for listening. No, it's fine. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Thank you, and good night.